Most of my coursemates, the fellow army officers with whom we got trained to become gentlemen, I'm sure they will have their finest memories along the river Adyar in Chennai. This is the river Adyar, which is known for two names on one bank, that is Annie Besant, the founder of the Theosophical Society of India, and Uppaluri Gopala Krishnamurti. Not the more popular Jiddu Krishnamurti. People generally mistake him for Jiddu Krishnamurti. He is known by his friends and admirers as UG, commonly known UG. The other, uh, the other one is the one who is more popular, more philosophical, Jiddu Krishnamurti. And the other bank of the Adyar, it's the house of the great Saint Thomas. And the saint's abode is called Saint Thomas Mount. The foothill of the mount, the Saint Thomas Mount, is the magnificent, where is the location of the magnificent officer training academy, earlier called as an officer training school. So everyone who lives around Adyar, he is familiar with these names, at least Annie Besant, UG, and Saint Thomas. Very, very prominent people. So my memory goes back to, because he is a very strange person. So I talk about UG today. UG was born in 1918 and spent most of his childhood uh, years around Adyar, brought up by his maternal grandparents, since his mother died immediately after his birth and the father abandoned him and got married to someone else. Both his grandfathers, they they were ardent theosophists, and they knew Annie Besant and Jiddu Krishnamurti very well. But our friend UG, after spending his initial years, he went to Himalayas and he spent about 7-8 odd years studying yoga. And one fine day, after his depth study, he rejected yoga. It was predicted in UG's horoscope that on his 49th birthday would be the critical turning point of his life. And it exactly happened that way only. It was only on his 49th birthday, UG came to some firm conclusion or convictions after his study and great learning of yoga and meeting the learned ones, the sages. And his conclusion was that there is no such thing as spiritual or psychological enlightenment, because there is no such thing as spirit or psyche at all. He declares that I've been a damn fool all my life, searching for something which does not exist. My search has come to end now. Hereinafter, I will not get into discourses, and I will only answer questions. Very surprising. I'm not sure if I get his message right, but it is interesting, because I have read his one book, compilation of his interviews. Mind is a myth, disquieting conversation with the man called UG. The title of the compilation of the interview was Mind is a Myth, disquieting conversation with the man called Yuji. And I'm going to share the summary of those interviews. And it's a very glossy book. On the cover magazine is glistering photographs is there. A silver grey locked man with a locked, incredibly handsome man who looked closer to 50 than his actual age, 72. Then that was shot was taken and put on the cover page of his interview book. On the summary, I will just summarize what all he summarizes, the summary of his all interview instead of this thing. He says, that mind is a myth. Disquieting conversation with the man called Yuji. The summary, I'm talking about the summary of all his interview. He says, making love is war. Cause and effect is the shibboleth of confused mind. Yoga and health food, they destroys body. The body and the soul is immortal. There is no communication in there is no communism in Russia. There is no freedom in America and no spirituality in India. He says, continues in his answering to all the questions asked by the interviewer, that service to mankind is utter selfishness. Jesus was another misguided Jew, just imagine, and Buddha was a crackpot. These are Yuji's declaration, summary of his interview. And mutual terror, not love, will save the mankind. He says, attending church and going to the bar for a drink are identical activities. There is nothing inside you but fear. He says communication is impossible between human beings. God, love, happiness, the unconscious, death, reincarnation, and the soul are just figments of intelligent mind, or figments of, you can say, rich imagination. Freud is the fraud of the past, of the 20th century, while Jiddu Krishnamurti was the greatest phony. Just imagine. He contradicted and denounced and challenged almost everything. His favorite pastime in an interview, he many times repeated, denouncing Sai Baba, Rajneesh, and all those popular sages and figures in the East and the West both. When the interviewer asked him, you are so handsome and incredibly handsome looks you carry, at this prime age of 72, you look something 50, what is your reason for this good health? He says, when he asked him in interview, where does you get all these energy from? He says, I don't eat anything. All I take is a spoonful or two of cream mixed with mashed rice twice a day. No bread, no meat, no vegetable, no tea, no coffee or milk. He seems to be able to do with every little food and with very little food and sleep. He is up almost all the day and night and only takes an occasional cat nap. The rest of the time he is either talking or reading. The this is probably what gives Yuji an aura of godliness. He has spiritual energy of demonic proportions. He, in an interview, say, according to him, the cause and effect theory was a fallacious and operated within the religious framework. That's why it is fraud. No, I'm not. I was not. I'm not convinced by all his answers. I don't know how many people, but he had a very, very large following. And it was same over the death. He said, while he agrees that it was a full stop to consciousness, he holds that our atomic existence continued in a different shape. That was very difficult to, for anyone to comprehend. So you read the interview of this compilation interview, is very interesting. Many a times you will burst out laughing. But his followers still keep him in a very high esteem. This place is full of, world is full of strange people with strange philosophies. It's nice to know them. Thank you very much.